Hey everybody, it's Chris from the Charity Board Gamer. Thank you for joining in tonight. I have Scott from Renegade Games Studios. We're going to just have fun talking. Scott is going to, of course, I'm going to ask him some questions about just his journey into board gaming, what kind of got him started, asking a little bit about talking about Renegade Con, which was just this past weekend, which I had the chance to be able to enjoy some of the demos and see some of the workshops, and I have to say I had a lot of fun doing that. Right. And then we're going to talk about Back the Comeback, which is something that Scott is passionate about, and it's also something that's really helping friendly local game stores kind of get back up and running after this COVID-19 and find ways to keep those people in business and paid, which is very important. So I'm going to let Scott kind of take it away. Scott, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. First question for you? Okay. What was some of your first board games that you ever played when you were younger? What kind of got you into board games?
Well, I mean, I think I had a pretty typical start in like hobby gaming. Of course, as a kid, everybody plays the typical, kids board games. But I played D&D in middle school, that sort of thing. But really, what probably got me even more into tabletop games was around 1989 or so. I went off to school and I met a bunch of guys that were playing Blood Bowl. And I had no idea what Games Workshop was or anything along those lines. And it was there was one guy I remember who was part of this Blood Bowl league that was an architect major. And he was building like really elaborate stadium setups and stuff like that, like architect models and or everything else. But these guys, we went to a local hobby store. And I was like, I'm going to join your Blood Bowl league, and went and bought a team and started with that. And then I remember seeing all this other Games Workshop stuff and White Dwarf magazine. And so between that and D&D, it was like off to the races. So
you said you played the basic childhood games. What was the one that you remember the most from your childhood before the D&D?
Yeah, I mean, Game of Life. Playing that as a kid, everybody's played Monopoly to the point where it just it ruins all your relationships with all your siblings and relatives.
Oh no, I understand that. My boys are playing it currently. They've gone 7 days off and on playing this game, and there was some sort of argument about money, and I'm like, it's going away. It's going away now. So yeah,
I did that in the early '80s. I've talked about this on other shows too. I got as a Christmas present the Dungeons and Dragons electronic board game that you could play solo. And it was like a dungeon delving, like explore the dungeon game with these little metal pieces on this electronic kind of board. It was made by, I think it was Mattel. And once you found the treasure, you had to get out before the dragon ate you. I remember playing that thing to death. I was probably, 11 years old, 12 years old, something like that.
I just started getting D&D. I wish I got into it earlier, but it's been interesting so far. That's pretty cool though. I like that. Renegade Con just happened this past weekend.
Yep.
So what were your feelings about it going into it? What kind of brought that idea of, hey, let's do this? And then also, how did you feel it went? What were some takebacks that you got from it that you're thinking about planning for future ones? Because I know one of the things that you stated at the end of it all was this might not be the last one this year. There might be another this year, which I'm excited about.
Yep. So, we went into it, right? The world changed very, very quickly the last few months. Physical conventions just aren't possible at this time. So we, sat down and we said, how can we try to recreate a convention experience the best that we possibly can? Because one of the things that we look forward to throughout the year is going to conventions and engaging with fans of our games, making new fans, showing them, sneak previews of stuff. So we decided to try doing an online event. We had just brought on Chris Whitpan earlier in the year, who has a very strong digital background. We had already been ramping up our own digital studio with Desiree and Terry, creating our own content. So we pivoted very, very quickly and did Renegade Con, and I was really, really impressed with the lineup of content that the team put together. It wasn't just here's a store, buy some games and do some online demos. It was a really robust schedule of panels and workshops and interviews. It felt like a convention in that sense, because even me, I was like, oh, I want to go check out this workshop, and I'm like, oh, but there's also a panel at the same time that I want to see, or that I'm on, or whatever else. So you couldn't do everything at once, which was nice. You had a lot of choice, but everything was recorded, so it's all going to be up later, and then people can watch it. So I would say it exceeded our expectations. We had about 2,000 unique registrations, and our Discord channel maintained about 850 concurrent users throughout the whole event. So that to me, that seems like it was pretty successful. I think it definitely exceeded our expectations.
I can tell you personally, I had a great time. I remember I played Search for Planet X and Matt Tittlebaum. Did I say that right? Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he taught that to us, and I tell you, it was a great game. I loved playing that, and just you all use Tabletopia, and I'm not used to Tabletopia as much as I am Tabletop Simulator. So, but it was very fluid. It went really well, and just the demos, the workshops, I had a great time. The painting stuff was great, and of course, talk about Power Rangers, which my kids love. Yeah. So that's always good. That's always good. I might also be a fan as well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a learning curve with any like those online platforms. So we prepared for that. The staff trained on them for a few weeks ahead of time, so that way they could help people. And I think that went pretty well. But there's always going to be that learning curve. So hopefully the next one, now we've got 1,000 or 2,000 people that have learned how to use that platform, at least newly used it. So the next time, those people will be way ahead of the curve, and if anything, they can probably help the new people that come on board. So,
is there some ideas that you're thinking about already for the next one? Kind of some things to change it up a little bit, or maybe something to add to the experience?
Yeah, for sure. So we just sent out a survey to all the registered attendees, and that feedback's been coming back. It's been pretty overwhelmingly positive as far as what people liked. Most of it are like little tweaks. I think we want to try to add some more community type events, more meet and greet kind of mixer sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. We're going to switch up the content. We want to do some new things. But the feedback's just coming in. So if you did attend and you haven't filled out your survey, please fill out your survey. Let us know what we can do better next time, because we've already started planning on the next one. We're going to do another one. Like, it's not a secret. I'm not like there's. Yeah, we're going to do another. So that's a pretty safe bet. Sarah can't even get mad at me for spoiling that.
I know. I think it was hilarious when I think you spoiled a game in one of the live streams. I think it was one of the introductory live streams to the con, and you saw her eyes just kind of like.
Yeah, me making marketing's job difficult is kind of a tradition at Renegade. So that's yeah. So now it's kind of become a running joke in some of our communities too. That let's see if we can get Scott to spoil something for us. And Sarah stands in the corner shaking her fist at me.
Yeah, I think the idea was have something like Scott Bingo is I think what we're something like announcing a new game or getting an eye raise from Sarah type stuff. So it'd be kind of fun to have something like that. And I think somebody even suggested having that in the next Renegade Con, just something fun like that.
Yeah, we might actually do it. It was an interesting idea.
I mean it's I mean people do things like they take shots for different things, like for different shows or movies and stuff. Why not bingo for Renegade Con? That'd just be something fun. So the main reason why, of course, we've asked Scott to come on is to talk a little bit about Back the Comeback, which it's in the description below as well. So if you want to take a look at it, it's right there, backthecomeback.org. And so, Scott, what is Back the Comeback? What does that mean to you? Why are you interested in it, and why do you think others should show interest in Back the Comeback?
So Back the Comeback started as an initiative from some of our distribution partners over at Alliance Game Distributors and Diamond Comic Books Distributors. And Steve Jeppe, the owner over at Diamond, has done a bunch of press on this. And really it came about because probably the stores are, the hobby game stores, comic shops are probably the worst hit from the COVID shutdown. Publishers, we probably had it the easiest because we could pivot pretty quickly. We have online business. We could open up our websites a little bit and not do all the business that we would normally do, but at least have some revenue to keep things going. And, hobby shops, some were able to do curbside pickup. Some were able to do mail order. Some were in areas where they actually didn't even have those options, and they really just had to shut down. So the point of the initiative is to, number one, appeal to fans and collectors and gamers to go into their stores safely when they can, depending on where they live and when they open up. But there's also some other initiatives to support some 3 different charities that will support hobby game shops. So there's a big auction coming up in July. There's lots of companies and individuals are donating some pretty cool stuff on both the comic and the gaming side. I guess I might as well go ahead and say what we're donating. It was just approved today.
Hold on, Sarah, are you on here?
Yeah. So there we go. So we got to keep with the tradition and scoop Sarah. So just today, Hasbro approved that we can donate to the Back the Comeback auction a Megazord prototype model that was used in the creation of the big giant Megazord that we made for the game. So this is actually the very first 3D sample. It's not like off the line. It's a prototype of the Megazord, and we're going to donate that to the auction. So
that is pretty awesome.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep. Hasbro gave us the thumbs up this morning, so we'll be sending that off, and it'll be in the auction in July. So anything that you buy in the auction, you can actually determine which charity your winning bid goes to. And there's 3 charities that are attached to this auction. So the first one is a charity called the Bink Foundation. Mm-hmm. And the Bink Foundation has been around for quite a while. They started off, interestingly enough, as a charity that was started up by Borders Books employees when that chain was kind of going through tough times and eventually, went away. It was to support bookstore employees that were losing their jobs. Since then, that charity has totally been turned over to a professional 501c organization, and they support book and comic book shops. Game shops are eligible, and they will, I think to date, they've already given out over $500,000 in the last 3 months to stores affected by shutdowns due to COVID. So if a shop owner is in dire straits and because of a lack of revenue can't pay their mortgage, they can help with things like that. So it's not, hey, we're going to pay the rent on your store necessarily or whatever. It's to help these businesses stay afloat and get to the next step where they can get back to hopefully a normal flow of business relatively soon. So Bink is really strong. Then the other one is the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund, which might be more familiar to the gamer audience. So Tom's charity is fantastic. They pretty much will help anybody in need. They have a very formal process. You go through, you apply, and they're totally on board to help and support retailers. So you can choose the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. And then the last one is the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. And the CBLDF has been around for, a couple decades. And they protect First Amendment rights as they pertain to comic books and graphic novels and print media in our space. And they've spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the years defending comic shops that come under attack and things like that. So they're 3 just absolutely awesome charities. And ultimately, all of them support brick and mortar game and comic book stores. So that's what this auction is going to do. It's going to funnel hopefully a lot of money to those charities, which will trickle down and help those stores, stay on their feet or get back on their feet.
That's pretty awesome because a lot of stores need that right now.
They do. I mean, that was I started off as a retailer. My first industry position, in our world was as a retailer. I opened up a store in the late '90s and ran a game store, and that eventually led to my first professional job at a publisher. And then I just kind of went from there. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So you said a game store now. Were we talking board games, video games? What were you running?
So it was in the '90s. So card games were a big piece of the store. We carried Magic, though we really excelled with Decipher games, Star Wars at the time, and Star Trek to a lesser extent. Then that actually got me on the radar of the company, and I eventually wound up getting a job at Decipher. But we carried Games Workshop and board games. I can remember bringing in games like Puerto Rico that had they were in German but had English rules taped to the back. I mean, this was pretty early on before stuff was readily available. And what's super cool is that my original store is still in business to this day. It's on its third owner. So that's kind of gratifying that store is still open. I'll give them a plug. It's Collector Mania in Parker, Colorado. And that was my original shop. So
do you ever go back to your old stomping grounds to say hi or anything like that? Or
yeah, it's been a few years since I've been to the store, but I have extended family that's in Colorado. My in-laws and everything are over there. So yeah, we make it back there every once in a while, and I try to stop in and see. It's the store's not in the same location from when I owned it, but it's still pretty cool to see. It's still a lot of the same fixtures, so it looks familiar. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah,
that's cool. That is pretty amazing that it's gone through 3 different owners and still standing, that's pretty amazing. I just look at our game store and I look forward to seeing that happen with our game store that we have here. But that's really neat. So you're talking comics, so I've got to ask you, comics, do you have any?
Do I have comics? Oh yes, I have a few comics. Yeah.
What is your prized possession comic book that you have?
Oh, my prized possession comic book. So I like a lot of characters. I have one comic book that's I don't know if it's my prized possession, but it's probably really cool and unique. I have a Walt Disney Comics and Stories 33, which is an infinity cover, and I have a double cover version of it. So it's a printer's mistake. When a double cover is when 2 covers get stuck together and both get stapled to the book. So and the cool thing is this is an infinity cover, so it's Donald and Mickey reading the comic that they're on. So when you see the comic, it looks like they're reading the comic that they're reading comic, and the image goes forever. But I have one that's a double cover. It's not necessarily worth a lot more or anything, but it's just kind of a weird anomaly that I think is kind of cool.
That's really cool.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite series that you've enjoyed reading?
Oh, so recently I've been going back. I've been reading the new Watchmen stuff most recently. I've been reading all the Marvel Star Wars stuff, especially the new Marvel Star Wars and Darth Vader stuff, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So that's been really fun. I just read the Mr. Miracle trade paperback from the miniseries a year or so ago. Yeah,
I heard that was really good.
Oh, it was excellent. It was fantastic. So my tastes are all over the map. So I'm kind of open to just about anything.
I think I still have some of the old Marvel comics of the Star Wars. I sold a lot of mine when we first got married. So I'm talking like first appearance of Wolverine, Kingpin, Spider-Man, the new X-Men, X-Men 95. I remember just taking those all to a comic book store and just saying, I need to sell these. we've got to keep food on the table.
Yeah,
so,
we all go through that. I mean, I finally replaced, this isn't even worth anything. Marvel Treasury would do those big treasury size books. And when I was a kid at 8 years old or something, I went on a trip with my parents and they bought me the Star Wars Treasury. And it was like one of those trips that you're on like a road trip. And I must have read that Star Wars Treasury, which was only the first half of the story because there was two issues of it. So it only gets up to a certain point in the story and you're done. And I just reread that thing over and over and over and over again. And it was gone for years. And I bought one on eBay. I finally found one that was like in nice shape. And it, you know, it's not really, I mean, the thing is worth maybe $20, but it was cool to have it again, you know?
Yeah. I think the only things I kept when I got rid of all the other ones, I kept Kingdom Come, the DC series.
Yeah.
So love Alex Ross's artwork.
Yeah.
And then I kept Bone, all my issues of Bone that I have.
Yeah.
And then I kept a couple issues of Gen 13. I think it was Gen 13, issue 13, where it was like the A, B, and C, where they had different styles of artwork, and they actually, I think Bone was even like guest appearance in one of the parts of it. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I love Jeff Smith's Bone series. That's by far one of my favorites ever.
They finally came out with the graphic novels of it, which is good. And they even came out with graphic novels of you remember Sam and Max Hit the Road?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked that. That was always good. So
yeah, lots of good stuff.
Well, I see we have a few people here. If you have a question that you want to ask Scott, please go ahead and put it on there, and I will put it up there for people to see, and we'll answer questions. So go ahead. It says we've got a couple.
All right.
We'll have some fun.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So what? Any special comics that are close to your heart, other than that Treasury comic? While we're seeing if anybody responds.
Yeah, I mean, I still collect stuff now. I tend to jump around. I've been buying recently a lot of like 70s horror, like some of the weird Marvel series from the 70s, horror comics, things like that. I've always been a huge Batman fan. I actually have a decent collection of Batmans from the 40s and 50s and things like that I've collected over the years. I remember the very first time I came home from a convention, my now wife and I, before we were married, and I came home from a convention, and this wasn't even a very expensive comic, but I think it was a Batman 20 that I bought in low grade, and it was $120 or something, it was like a good. And she was like, and she was an art major. She's like, wow, this is really cool. And she's like, how much was it? And I was like, oh, $120. And she couldn't really comprehend that why I would buy something that was at the time, 40 years old for $120, a comic book. An original cover price of 10 cents on it. She's like, what? Are you out of your mind? Like, what are you doing? We have rent to pay. Why are you buying comic books? So
I understand that.
But I still have that book, so it's lasted a long time, and I'm still married to the same girl too. So that's pretty good.
That's definitely a blessing. That is very much a blessing.
Yeah.
It looks like I think the one thing I enjoyed was I went to a flea market and somebody had these comics like near mint condition.
Yeah.
And that's where actually I got X-Men 95. The guy sold it to me for $0.25.
Wow.
He was just trying to get rid of the stuff. But I mean, it's a flea market. They're like,
right. Yeah.
So I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, but then I ended up selling it and be able to pay some bills and stuff like that back in the day. And so, but it's been a blessing. Have not spent $120 on a comic yet. I think my wife would disown me at that point, but I mean, I've definitely spent money on board games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you can easily go above that on a board game nowadays, especially some really nice stuff, like really blinged out. And what are you excited about playing? Like, what have you played recently that was really fun?
We played with our family. My brother-in-law, he came into town with his wife and their 3 kids. And they came into town because our niece is going to stay with us for the summer. And the game that we've really enjoyed was we played Fireball Island a couple nights ago. So I mean, he loved Fireball Island back when he was a kid, and he didn't even know that they came out with a newer version with restoration. Yeah. So we played that, and that was something a lot of fun. Something that we played with the kids recently was Starlink. Have you played that one yet?
No.
That's Blue Orange Games. Blue Orange Games makes that one. but you have the constellation. So you have this constellation of stars, and as you're playing, you're drawing out different objects, and you can only draw straight lines. Which for my kids, they're like, why?
Right.
I want to do curves. I want to do curvy lines.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just one of those fun things. And then the game at Renegade Con that I really enjoyed, like I said, was Search for Planet X, which for me that's we do a lot of social deduction and deduction style games for our family, and so to have a deduction game like that and just being able to find a planet amidst the gas and the different planets and the comets and the asteroids and just trying to figure it out. I can picture when that hits our table, just my kids kind of getting excited about, just a little bit of that, because we enjoy space. Like whenever there's different like star, gosh, my brain's not thinking, but whenever there's any comets or shooting stars or anything like that that's being announced, we'll try to get outside and be able to, like, if it's midnight, we'll stay up late. We'll let the kids stay up. We'll watch maybe a show or something. Then we'll take them all outside. We'll look outside, sit out on the porch and just kind of watch. Yeah, that's kind of what we do. So for us, stars are just it's really neat talking about planets and space and things like that, and watching the space flight last Saturday. I think it was last Saturday, right? That's a lot. Yeah. What about you? What's been a game that you've been enjoying playing? I know, of course, you should have some. You should have some, of course, with your company. But what's something that you've just that you've enjoyed with your family?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, so when my family gets together, like my kids and their girlfriends and stuff like that, we play a lot of party games. Like we're playing like Just One recently. That's a great party game. Stuff like that. Honestly, most of my time right now is I'm so busy that most of my time that I have for games is when I'm playing our own games that are not released yet. So
don't tell us about them. That's okay.
No, I can't go into those.
No, don't do that. No.
But it's a learning curve too, because I wasn't like, I played tablet games and things like that, and I enjoy those. But again, like the tabletop simulator stuff and things like that, we're starting to use those platforms for play testing and development. And even for me, it's a bit of a learning curve. It changes the dynamic. Instead of getting together with the same people at the table and being able to read their body language and see their expressions and stuff like that, it's not as prevalent. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for us too, like being able to keep our development going and not lose momentum and kind of keep our schedules. We've had to change a lot. Like we have a studio here in San Diego that we use for in-person development, and we haven't used it now in 2-3 months.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So how far do you all live from each other? I mean, since you're all around that area.
Well, not everybody's here.
Not everybody,
yeah, we have people all over. But there's a team, a chunk of us are here in San Diego as far as, our internal game design and development and things like that. Not all of it happens here, but a fair amount. And then we also have the studio for content creation, like our Twitch channel and, our streams for Power Rangers and other games. We've kind of had to, do those in different ways, maybe not as polished and pretty as we'd like them to be, but we're adjusting and making do. Like Desiree's been doing stuff at home, and her husband's stuck at home with her too. So games with Desiree and Chris at home instead of under the fantastic lighting and set up in the studio.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an adjustment, but you just have to roll with it.
No, I can tell you, I've been watching some of those things. What do you think I think it's around 4:00 every day or 3:00 every day, or over on this side.
Yeah.
But just I've enjoyed it, and you can tell that Desiree puts a lot of work into making those things happen, because I think it was Ruel, Victor, and Heidi were on earlier today playing Dragon Tea Society. Is that right? Yep.
Dragon Society.
So yeah, when we're talking, did I say it right or no?
Yeah. No, so it's the Tea Dragon Society.
Tea Dragon Society. Okay.
Yeah, and that's based on a graphic novel from Oni Press, done by this really talented author and illustrator, Katie Cook. So I'm sorry, Katie O'Neill. Katie O'Neill, sorry. But yeah, they're really amazing. Tea Dragon Society has been a fantastic seller for us. And there's a new game. We spoiled this at Renegade Con, but it wasn't me. It was Steve Ramoni.
Okay. I'm making sure you're not getting in trouble.
Yeah, he made Sarah mad that time, but we already spoiled that there's a follow-up to that game coming this fall.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It looks like we've got a couple people in here. Jason Winterfeld is just saying, hey, Chris, hey, hi, Scott.
Hey.
And then we do have a question on here from Amanda Panda.
Okay.
Amanda is just awesome. She's been on, I think, almost every live stream that you all have done. And then I don't think there's ever a stream that Ruel does that she's not there visiting and saying hi. Nice. So what is your favorite collectible? If you can't tell, Scott has a lot of beautiful collectibles in the background.
Yeah. That's really tough. I collect a lot of stuff. It's tough. I mean, comics. I love movie posters. Like the stuff that you see behind me, I really like robots. It kind of doesn't matter what series they're from. I definitely like robots. So they could be from Star Wars. They could be from, cheesy B movies. I think robots are cool. So I guess if I had to pick anything, I'd say robots, because that allows me to have things across multiple brands and properties that I like. So I'll go with that.
So you're a diehard Star Wars fan. Which one's your favorite?
Oh, which film is my favorite?
Which film is your favorite?
I'd still have to say the original, like Episode 4, A New Hope. I know a lot of people love Empire. I think Empire is a fantastic movie. But nothing for me probably beats the original, right? Like, again, watching that, it's like being 8 years old again. It's bigger than life. So I'll probably always stick with that. Empire is a close second, like just, a step behind it for me, only because of nostalgia.
Gotcha. I'm an Empire fan. It goes Empire, Return of the Jedi, then A New Hope, and then the sequel ones, and then the prequel ones only for lightsaber battles. So I'm sorry, the Metachlorian thing, I was not the keenest on that.
Yeah.
On that. I liked The Last Jedi's approach. I know there's people that are very controversial about The Last Jedi. I like their approach with how the Force is always there. It's whether or not you're in tune with the Force, which I like that. So
I mean, here's the thing. I've liked them all, some more than others, but at the end of the day, they all add something to the myth, right? They all bring something. They all add something. So, who am I to complain? Like, somebody's made something that I think is fun. Like maybe some are more fun than others to me, but like I'm not going to pick them apart.
What do you think about the exciting news that Boba Fett's going to be in Mandalorian season 2?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like I will say that I've really enjoyed a lot of the TV stuff. Clone Wars, the animated series, is phenomenal. Rebels, I went into Rebels thinking like, yeah, I thought it like, oh, okay, it's really aimed towards younger audience. Like maybe this will be fun, but it was really good. Like really, really good. The character development in that was fantastic.
Oh, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Very, very good. And then, of course, The Mandalorian was great. I mean, just felt Star Wars. It's that, grim, gritty, just very used, broken down world. And, and it also showed that you don't need to, not everything has to be about Jedi and lightsabers to be engaging and compelling in Star Wars. So I thought it was cool.
Very true, but I am very curious about that dark saber.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm telling everybody, if you want to fully understand what's going to go on there, you need to go back and watch the Clone Wars and the Rebels stuff to know what the deal is with the dark saber. Now we're just geeking out and it's a Star Wars commercial, but that's okay. There's worse things that you can do with your time than watch Star Wars, for sure.
That is very true. That is very true. You could be watching something else. I don't know. Like Friends. I'm sorry, I'm not a Friends fan. So so you could be doing that instead. But no, Scott, thank you very much for coming on today. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for making a company that people can really enjoy your games. That you help highlight people who are young designers, up and comers, and try to find ways to bring them to light. And especially thank you for your staff. Your staff, you definitely have a staff that truly do care about the community, and I appreciate that about you. So, but yeah, back.
Our staff is fantastic. They're the rock stars of the company for sure.
They really are.
Yeah.
So, as we were talking about earlier, before we went on our exciting Star Wars conversation, Back the Comeback. It's in the description. Take a look at it. Auction this July. A special Zord, the Megazord prototype, available in the auction, approved by Hasbro. So be on the lookout for it. 3 different charities that are involved. There's Bink. There is the Comic
Legal Defense Fund.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. And then, of course, the Jack Fassel Memorial Fund, which is just an amazing organization.
There you go.
Yeah. But, Scott, thank you again. I appreciate it. And everybody else, come on back next week. We're going to be having another live stream about another charity. Like I said, if you want to help out with Back the Comeback, if I'm correct, there are, of course, all 3 charities are on there. If you want to, click on one of those charities, donate towards a good cause, help out with your friendly local game stores as well. Find out ways to support them, because you're the reason why they stay in business. If you're not giving them your business, they're not going to be there. And then we're going to just be online all the time. But here's our chance to actually go into a store and support them, whether it be curbside or even these donations. So thank you all very much for coming on.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.